Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. My name is Aaron. I'm delighted to be joined here by Patrick Sharkey from the GAA Zone podcast for the 2023 Donegal season preview. It's the 7th edition of our season previews. We're going to be discussing all things Donegal ahead of the upcoming inter-county season. We'll touch on the hurlers maybe briefly towards the end of the video as well, but obviously mainly focusing on the footballers. Patrick, how is life with yourself? How's things? And you all ready and excited for another inter-county season?
Yeah, look, it's obviously the big news has been the departure of Michael Murphy there. You know, it's someone like he made his debut December 2006. I was 4 years old then, and I'm 2021 in March. Like, so the longevity of that man, you know, he's all I've ever known and all the rest. So it's definitely an unknown season and all the rest. Like, but look, I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't, you know, we can all hope for the best. Like, but you don't know, the next best thing could come through, but you just not too sure. But it'll definitely be different than I was, to put it one way.
Yeah, definitely will. It's kind of nearly like when Stevie G left Liverpool or something. It's like he's all you've sort of known. He's like that main man, the captain, and now someone else coming in as a captain. Like it's definitely going to be weird for Donegal fans in 2023. I'd imagine not having him around.
Yeah, I, absolutely. He's the face of Donegal GAA. Like, you know, for like, you know, he was probably the best footballer of the 2010s. Like, and you know, for a county that's only won two All Irelands, well, one of them being the one he captained us to at 23. You'd look at him. You don't really expect that we'd always be producing the best player, but you know, just out of nowhere, we just really produce that great football in our rest. But you know what? If you ask anybody, be it from the senior team down to the under-16s, who inspires them, probably Michael Murphy. So hopefully, you know, he'll bring in the next generation of Donegal with him, and no doubt within the next decade, he'll be the coach of Donegal. So it's definitely different there. Like, but you know, the captain hasn't been announced yet, but it'll be interesting to see who the new management picks.
Yeah, like and what do you think? Like I know there was some rumors maybe that Murphy wasn't happy with the new management and was thinking of stepping away, and you know, like maybe there was a rift in the camp and everything else. Do you think there was any substance to that, or was it a case of just him retiring? Because I suppose he is, as you said, he's been gone for quite a long time, so his race maybe is kind of ran.
Yeah, look, we're just gonna take his word for it. You know, obviously, if he stepped down the night or within a week or two after we get knocked out by Armagh last year, nobody would question it. Everyone would just think, you know, all right,
Yeah.
he's gone off. Like, just, you know, when it comes, you know, because the same night the management was announced, he was on Highland Radio talking up, you know, about his excitement about working with them and all the rest. So I don't know. So you don't know what's going on and all the rest. So, but look, I'm gonna take it that he was full, you know, just saying to step down anyways, and maybe he was just, you know, maybe his mind was just telling him different things, and he just decided to bite the bullet and announce it. I don't know, but but I can see where it's coming from. But I'll run with the story that he made it. Just it was a decision he was going to come to either way. No.
Fair, yeah, no, like he's going to be an analyst next year as well on GA Go, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see his opinions and everything else. And looking back at last year for Donegal in general, I mean, in the league, I suppose fairly mixed bag, but obviously you were never really in a relegation battle, probably never really in a battle for the league. But I think all in all, I think most Donegal fans would be happy with it. And then obviously in the championship, beating an Ulster final after extra time and then obviously lose to Armagh in that opening round or sort of final round of the qualifiers. So, what were your thoughts on how Donegal got on last year?
Yeah, look, the league was kind of, we were kind of in a relegation fight with them, but there was a few teams below us anyways. Like, so it always seems to be intense on the last day. But you know, I was there in O'Donnell Park when Paddy McBurdy hit that last minute score out the door, and that just got them out there. And all the news was about filtering through about Dublin getting relegated and all the rest. And Donegal and Armagh fans, we were both saying, "Oh God, we wish it was Tyrone." But look, yeah, it was. See, we got to the Ulster final, and we played really, really good against Derry for the first half, but then it was kind of quite slow and stuff. And then that second half, we were giving away some silly freeze, inviting the back in, and then done the exact same in extra time. Then Derry got the right ones there, and then if we would have won that Ulster title, the full confidence would have been back on Declan Boner, back in everything. Everything would have been going in the right direction. We would have had a quarter final against Clare, and we seen how Derry dismantled them. Then we probably would have got back to the semi final, and then it happened there. But I think it just drained the confidence out, and then it came to Armagh. We were neck and neck, and then obviously Sean Patton went off, and then it just sent the whole thing AWOL, and then the whole confidence was drained out. It was a day and night performance compared to the performance we gave on the first day of the Ulster Championship when we were pretty comfortable against Armagh.
Yeah, it was a strange year, wasn't it? Because I do remember Donegal getting a lot of criticism and a lot of people sort of saying they're not progressing and everything else. And obviously Declan Bonner coming under a lot of scrutiny and criticism as well. And obviously he's since left. But when you actually look back at the year, it probably wasn't that bad as what people painted it out. As you were saying there, maybe there was some jeopardation going into the final day of relegation in the league, but it needed a lot of results to go against Donegal on that particular occasion. And as you said, got to an Ulster final against Derry, who comfortably beat Tyrone and Monaghan, obviously, on route. And it did go to extra time. So in any other year, it probably maybe would have went to a replay, and you don't know what would have happened there. And as you said, Clare in the quarterfinals. So, it probably wasn't as bad as what maybe some people were making it out. What do you think?
Yeah, I know what you're saying there, but I don't know if it went to a replay. You look at a game going extra time thinking it was an intense game, but it probably actually wasn't the best game of football. So I don't know. I don't know if either set of fans would have been willing to sit through another 70 of that. But still, I think it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad of a year out there. But I just think because, see, my generation, we saw about 5 Ulster titles and all the rest, and it's nearly expected that we get one all out there, and then they find, they see 3 years of an Ulster, and fans are kind of thinking, it's time to go and all the rest. Even though leading up to 2011, we went 19 years without an Ulster. But and to put it into perspective, an 11-year-old from Donegal has seen their county win Ulster as much as a 46-year-old from Derry. So yeah.
yeah. Fair. As you said, maybe the expectations are just probably gone a little bit too high. As you said, there was a lot of great years there, obviously, as you've alluded to before, winning the All-Ireland in 2012, obviously getting to the final in 2014 and everything else. Do you think maybe it's sort of, I know you've had a new crop of players come through, but do you think it is maybe slightly the end of an era with the likes of Michael Murphy gone? You've had a few other lads retiring in the last couple of seasons. It does seem like it's sort of transitioned now into a different sort of era for Donegal.
Yeah, Michael Murphy, he was part of the crop of players that won the under-16 Ulster back in 2006, and then in 2010 we won the Ulster against Cavan in it was 2010 April, and then we lost by Dublin by a point in that final as well at the All-Ireland stage. So Michael Murphy was the last member out there, and then you go forward to the 2011 Ulster one or the 2012 All-Ireland one. Yeah, the only Donegal player left with an All-Ireland win would have been Paddy McBurdy, and Michael Murphy and Neil McGee, who left the panel, were also the only 2 remaining ones at the 2007 League One. They probably, if you put in that perspective, you'd probably expect them to be done quicker, but still. So, yeah, there's very little. There is a good lot of Ulster medals, but as for the All-Ireland medal, they're lacking that there. So, maybe there's more hunger. Could be a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's a weird one because you still have a lot of very good players, even the players that have come through in the last couple of years, like Caleb McGonigal and Michael Langan, the O'Donnells who sort of broke through in the last couple of seasons. There is plenty of good talent, so it's not a case of players drying up or anything of that nature. Still plenty of good players coming through there.
Absolutely. It is there. Don't get me wrong. We haven't won a minor or an under 20 or under 21 Ulster since the under 21 Ulster back in 2017. So maybe it's starting to translate a lack of youth success, but still, we're still bringing players through every year and all the rest. Like, so no doubt about that there. There's definitely stuff that's going on there. And yeah, and like, so I still think there is as quality, and even you'll look at the Sigreds and you'll see a lot out there. And we had to pull out a few years ago because so many of them were playing. The pull out of the Dr. McKenna Cup a few years ago because so many were playing there. So I do think there's a lot of talent coming through. So it's not, the production line isn't finished in Donegal just yet.
Yeah, and obviously Declan Bonner stepping away. Like, I remember asking you this last year as well, and I suppose you were kind of saying like it probably was a case maybe of his final year. Like, and I mean, all in all, he won a couple of Ulster titles in there. Obviously didn't go to plan last year, but all in all, how would you look at Declan Bonner's time in charge of Donegal? And do you think it was the right decision for him to go, or what do you think?
See, we always talk about Ulster being the most competitive province, and you look at the past winners and the different variations of winners. It's definitely well backed up. And as Donegal manager, he coached 16 games as in the Ulster Championship, won 13 of them. I understand. After one loss, you knocked out and all the rest there, but it's kind of like, I kind of feel the Super 8s didn't suit Donegal back then because we went through. I don't want to be making excuses, but we would have probably played someone through the back door in a one-off quarter final in a neutral venue. Probably Croke Park more likely to get to a semi-final, and then would have all sent the right message there and all the rest there. But come to us and then be a Tyrone 2018, just a local derby, we lost it, and then Mayo and McHale Park. Mayo really brought the atmosphere that night and all the rest, and yeah, we were just found out. Whatever was clocked up, and then we go to 2020. Obviously, Cavan just outclassed us. It was obviously a tough one there, and then yeah, there was no backdoor in 2021. Despite and then Tyrone, yeah, they really gave it that Murphy sending off judged it there, and then I don't know, maybe the whole team were just, I don't know what happened against Armagh and all the rest, and then a sending off and a few silly frees given away in the Ulster final there, and that's what kind of probably ended it for him and all the rest there. So I think it's probably, when you look at his Ulster record, it'll look good, but then the All Ireland record, even it is probably an achievement in that sense.
Yeah, like, and it was quite a wait, wasn't it, for a new manager to come in? Obviously, Paddy Carr's come in with Aidan O'Rourke. Like, I mean, definitely took, I think it was one of the last managerial appointments, and I know there was all sorts of names floating around. I think Davy Burke was in the conversation, Anthony Cunningham maybe. I think even Paddy Tally got a mention as well. So, like, eventually, obviously, those two coming in. I mean, it's not the biggest profile name, but like, what were your thoughts on it?
Well, I know it's 2009. The game of football has definitely changed since 2009. But he won an All Ireland with Kilmacud Crokes in 2009, and I genuinely think if you won a Club All Ireland title, that's enough criteria to get you into most county jobs. I think that should be a good enough one there. So I do think he deserves a shot of managing his native county and all the rest and whatnot. Like, so probably, and he was in the running against Declan Bonner, so now it is his chance to put there. And Adrian O'Rourke, yeah, he's probably hasn't won any medals as a manager, and then has had a great playing career. But, when he managed Louth, he got them in the top 4 of Division 2, so he made Louth one of the top 12 teams in the country. So for a team like Louth, that's good enough achievement there. So I've no doubt that they're like, so look, I'll give them a chance. Definitely not the most high profile and all the rest, but no, I'm cautiously optimistic that they can make something happen.
Yeah, because you did mention that, like, Kilmacud Crokes All Ireland win, like, and I do remember even when that happened, Like I think Pat Gilroy was maybe in his first year, and Dublin had been absolutely hammered. So I think in the quarterfinals that year by Tyrone. And I remember some people even in Dublin conversations were thinking maybe Paddy Carr should have came in as Dublin manager. Like, and that seems like such a long time ago. So as you said there, like a man who has won major honors and major trophies. It mightn't be the biggest profile name, but at the same time, when you look back through history, you know he has been there and done it. So.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely the right criteria there, and they brought in Paddy Bradley as well, who has intercounty experience with Antrim as well, has managed. Obviously, he's a Derryman, so it's right. Neutral observers, probably no club biases, so definitely men there like whatnot. But he recently won the Derry Intermediate Championship with Glen Ullin, so yeah, I think look, it's ambitious and all the rest, but I think a Club All Ireland is good enough criteria and all the rest. But the only thing is, both Adrian O'Rourke and Paddy Carr were going into the Donegal job on completely separate bids, but they put their resources together and put it in together. So you don't know, was there someone else going to take it instead? Maybe them together was going to take it or whatnot. And I don't know how that would have worked, but still, I think too many people are making judgments before much is done before all the rest. So I just think, it's all about just backing them at the minute and seeing how far it goes. Like, and sure, it's the Dr. McKenna Cup in just over 2 weeks, like, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, like, because as I was saying earlier, like there were rumors that were going around about certain players not happy and maybe not making themselves available for this year and everything else. Like, I don't know how true those rumors were. I think you seem to get this quite a lot in Gaelic football at intercounty level. I mean, there's been loads of people talk about rifts in the Dublin camp and the Kerry camp in the past. And look, sometimes they might be true, sometimes they might have some validity to it, but like, what are your kind of thoughts on it? It would seem strange for there to be a rift straight from the get go, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an amateur sport with such a big audience, so you can always say, Johnny can't come out because he's work commitments, or player X or player Y can't do it all rest. So you can always come up with saying that there, something like, oh no, has woman's got a job in Dublin. You just don't know what goes on behind the scenes. But most of the reasons why some players can't commit, the reasons are pretty valid. First of all, Hugh McFadden is teaching out in Dubai, so he might not be able to commit to it, and Pater Mogan might not be available for the league because he's currently doing a Masters over in Liverpool. So those two players are there, and rumours of so that's two rumors that gets they've been quickly dismissed that there is actually other things going on and all the rest. But I haven't heard of any players until any players have officially dropped out of the panel. And usually, if a player doesn't go back to the panel, it's well noted and all the rest. So until they can officially go out, I'm not going to be making any guess. I think most of the reasons why any player is not going to commit this year is probably genuine. It's probably.
Yeah, like, I mean, and in terms of, as you said, like Michael Murphy, obviously retire and everything else. Who do you think should be the captain then, or who's the most likely?
See, cause Michael Murphy, he was captain in January 2011. He was announced as captain at the young age of 22. So that was obviously a big legacy for him to fill there. And I would kind of want it to go to someone who's going to be captain for at least 10 years. And I know that's a big load of pressure, especially in an amateur sport. Like, so, you would look at Patrick McBurdy, but he's 29. So, look, I know there. And so I'm going to go with a man who's already captain for his club and he's 24. I'm going to go with Niall O'Donnell as well. And obviously, the Unions were unlucky in the club final there. So I think, in the last few years, he's been a regular starter and all this. So I think if I'm going to pick any man to be captain, it would be Niall O'Donnell. Ryan McHugh as well would also be a good contender, one of them too.
Yeah, that's some good shouts. All right, like, and going into 2023 as well. Like, what is there any players you think who might maybe make a breakthrough, maybe coming in from club championships or underage level? Like, as you said, the underage success maybe has dried up a little bit since 2017. So I don't know if anyone's really putting their hands up, but Is there anyone off the top
Yeah.
of your head that you think might make it?
Well, if anybody watched the under-20 semi-final against Tyrone, and we're the only team that took that Tyrone team that won the All Ireland last year in under-20s to extra time. So we definitely, we're not as far out of the races as maybe I would have been making it out earlier. So I'm going to go with one man who came off, scored the most off the bench. And obviously he's a Creaslow man, so we'll give a bit of light to club there. But I think Carlos O'Reilly, very, very good player. I think he's a really, really good player. I kind of think, so, and he was originally there. So I think we're going to see him making his debut there. And another man I'm going to go for is Joel Bradley Walsh. He was a top scorer for LYT when they got the Sigurdsson semi-finals last year. Now, he is in his early 20s and all the rest, and he was on the bench a few times for the team there, but he's just committed with soccer with Van Harps, but I don't believe he's involved with them anymore. So I think you might see him given a chance for Donegal as well. And then another man who captained under 20s 2 years ago, made one appearance in the league, didn't get a look in the championship, but the new management might have different thing to say about him, is Rory O'Donnell as well. So I would go, I would go with those three.
Interesting. Yeah, and looking at the league then in 2023, I mean, it's, as we know with Division 1, it's so competitive, almost anything can happen on any given day. And I think we can all agree that Kerry definitely aren't getting relegated, but I think after that, really, it's it's open season really. So how do you think Donegal will get on there in Division 1?
I think we're going to finish third. I think we've got I think because, other teams will be a bit more experimental and all the rest, but Declan Bonner got a lot of slack when he finished. He finished bottom. Well, it was their second bottom there in his first season, and they got us relegated and all the rest. So I think that both of them are going to get there, and both of them will manage life, and they manage them to be steady Division 2 teams. So I think when you're with a quality Donegal style, I do think they're going to want it. I do think it's third. I do think it's third place. So that is what I am going to say there. So that's I'll put third place, but I think we'll narrowly miss out. I think there's still some teams better than us, but still I think we're pretty stable.
Yeah, it's an interesting assessment, all right, because I still would have thought there would have been maybe some rotation in the Donegal team, obviously with no Michael Murphy, maybe no Paddy Morgan, as you said, a few other lads. I thought maybe there still might have been a bit of rotation, new system, and sort of everything else. And I think I was looking at the bookies odds as well, and I think a lot of people are saying Donegal are going to get relegated. I mean, but you think you're confident enough, anyways, they'll withstand the pressure and stay up comfortably?
Yeah. Look, we're it's definitely going to be a Kerry team who probably isn't going to take it that serious, and then seven other teams on an equal footing going at it there. But yeah, I think I think I think Galway are going to finish top of Division 1 and all the rest there, but I do think, I think we're enough to get stable there and all the rest. But I think, Kerry, Monaghan, and Mayo are also going to stay up. But I think Armagh and Tyrone are going to go down. I think Tyrone, they're going to be a lot of experimentation because they're going to be probably the youngest team there. And Armagh and all the rest, I just think, they won a lot of games and all the rest. I don't want to say one person's going to call how they won games fuggery, another person's going to call it the dark arts. Call it what you want, but they might be a more gentle in their approaches, and it might actually cost them. So I think you might see them relegated too. But yeah, I think that's the way it's going to go.
Yeah, that's a bold prediction. All right, you're definitely always a man for a bold prediction. In fairness,
I know, yeah.
But to be fair, with Tyrone going down, I think you could definitely see that happening. I think we see how inconsistent they've been sort of in the league. They never really seem to take the league seriously at all. And they're probably maybe lucky enough in the end to avoid relegation in the way that they did. But But yeah, like in terms of like Donegal, even looking at the fixtures there, like some tough fixtures in there as well. So I mean, obviously for yourselves, you'll have to start fast.
Yeah, no doubt about that there. But look, I think it's Kerry the first day in Ballywfay. We've lost one game there, one league game there in the last 12 years. I know you only get about 1 or 2 games there a year and whatnot, but still, I think I don't know, like Kerry the first day there. I don't know if we can maybe get a draw against them. I don't think it's off the run there, and I don't think I'm not. I don't want to. I think the first 3 or 4 games Kerry are going to be quite flat, for one of a better word there. But they'll do enough to stay up in Division 1, and there's not many doubts about that there. Like, and they'll obviously come into their peak come championship time. But I do think, yeah. So obviously we only have 3 home games as opposed to 4 there, but still, I think that there, and there's a lot of new management as well. Like, so it's probably a very hard season because you don't really know much going on. Because looking at, I think most of the division, good chunk of Division 1's also new management as well. Like, and sure, Davy Burke could do something with Roscommon. I actually think they'll definitely go to they'll definitely push for the top in Division 1 as well. Like, and could even do bits in Connacht too. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think Galway, Armagh and Kerry, I think are the only ones who haven't changed their manager going into next season. So that's certainly interesting enough. Like, I mean, looking at some sort of general predictions then, I mean, who do you think is going to win the league then in that case? I mean, would you be back in Galway then, since you have them finishing top?
I think because do you know what? I'm a man for the bold prediction.
Here we go.
Most people was predicting to finish 8th. I think Roscommon are going to win the league. I think we're going to see a repeat of last year's Division 2 final in Division 1. I think, look at Davy Burke has a great record. He obviously has a league. He's won the championship with Sarsfields, the under-20 All-Ireland with Kildare. Then he won Division 4 with Wicklow. Then kept them up in Division 3. Then he took a year off and all the rest. Like, so I don't know. I think no, I'm not. I don't think they'd even get. I don't think they'll get near the All Ireland semi-finals. But I do think just in the league and stuff they'll go there. So that's what I'm boldly predicting.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. All right. To be fair, like I'd agree with the sense of the fact that Davy Burke's coming in there, and they have a great team, great squad, right age group. Obviously, a lot of under 20 lads coming in, but I think winning the league might be a bit of a stretch considering I don't think they've avoided relegation from Division 1, and I don't know how long, but I suppose stranger things have happened. And in terms of the overall big picture of the All Ireland, I mean, who's the front runners in your opinion? Like Kerry, I mean, they're going to be the favourites. You've obviously got maybe coming back into the mix, but what do you think?
It's Dublin. It's no. I think, and especially with the new championship structure as well, it's definitely going to be Dublin. I think for a very simple reason. They've got Mannion and McCafferty back there, and they need that extra quality there. And like, well, the new structure, it's going. I don't think when you look at the starting 15s, I think Kerry's is slightly better than Dublin's, but the new structure, you free group games and then you'll have the quarterfinals afterwards. So it's gonna reward those with depth, and I think by overall depth and squad in general, Dublin are better than Kerry. So I think that's where it's all going to come in there. So I think I don't look. I'm not. I don't know what can I say to the draws and all the rest. It's very hard to know anywhere, like, because if they'd meet Kerry in like a semi-final or a final, but I do think when push comes to shove, Dublin are going to come out on top, and I think it's going to be now. And then James McCarthy's going to get his 9th All Ireland, become the player with the most All Irelands ever, and then that's just gonna finish there, and that's what it's gonna be there, and so I'm gonna have. Dublin on Ireland, but I can't see them going on to do a 5 or 6 in a row like they did in the past year. But still, I think.
Yeah, no, look, I think us Dublin fans, we take an All Ireland at this stage rather than talking about 2, 3, or 5, 6 in a row or anything of that nature. In terms of any surprise packages, I mean, even just looking further down the divisions, sort of Division 2, 3, and 4, like who do you think could maybe cause a surprise or
Yeah,
two, a shock or two, or maybe cause an upset. I mean, it's always in the league we see shocks, but I think
yeah.
sometimes even in the championship down the years, I mean, Tipperary, Cavan, even Derry last year to a certain extent, we've seen them sort of pull off a few surprises every now and again.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting there. Like, well, we're gonna see a Division 4 team in the Connacht final. That's obviously the interest because they're say the draw. So I think we're gonna see Leitrim beating New York, London beating Sligo. Yes, I said that right. And then Leitrim beating London, and then I think we're going to see like a Leitrim getting to the Connacht final. So I'm sure that's probably an upset in some ways and all the rest. And yeah, and I think so. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting one. All right, you could have Andy Moran going up against Mayo in the Connacht final. That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah, I think it would be there. They definitely like he's done a lot there, but I actually have written. I mean, if you want to bore the listeners, I'm just giving you your request and making you aware. I've actually written down who I think is winning like each fixture, you know, because at least thankfully in Leinster this year we've an actual structure to get to a final as well, and the actual positions where I think teams are going to finish in all 4 divisions and the championships. If you really want to know, but well, I'll leave you to it if you want to. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'd say go for it. Why not? Why not? I mean,
Yeah,
the more predictions, the better. Do you know what I mean? I
yeah.
don't see any harm. You've already made some bold predictions in Roscommon being winning the league, so I'm kind of curious to see what else you've got in there.
Yeah. Right. We'll go to the Division 2, and I think it'll be Dublin and Kildare getting promoted. And I know it's going to upset Derry fans, but I think, you know, I don't have to explain the Dublin one. I really don't. Like, as much as, you know, I know they're there for a reason, but I don't really have to explain it. And they would beat Kildare in a final. But I think Kildare's just track record in the league and all the rest, and they put it on the league and all the rest, and they probably want a good seeding and all the rest because they're not going to win Leinster, and they're on the same side of the draw as Dublin, I think, you know, before the final. So they're not going to get the first 1 or 2 seeds, I believe. Like, so it's probably about fighting for that 3rd seed and getting to Division 1. So I think they have that fight there. And I think Limerick and Louth are going down. Yeah, it's probably a bit normal for me to predict the 2 teams that got promoted there, but I just don't think they have the same class the other teams there. So yeah, and yeah, and as for Division 3, I'm thinking Antrim and Offaly are going to do it because Antrim, I think, you know, they're going to want to get into the Sam Maguire, not the Talton Cup. So it's the easiest way is probably going to be to win Division 3. So I think they're going to do that there. And Offaly, yeah, most of that under 20 team are coming of age now, I think, you know, and they're really, really good in all the rest, and they're going to see it there. So I think, yeah, and they'll probably beat, you know, they'd probably beat Antrim in a Division 3 final as well. So I think you see it there. Andy McAtee's also good. And Liam Cahill has obviously done great, or not Liam Cahill, or he's the Cairns obviously has achieved great things with Tipperary footballers and Limerick footballers beforehand. So I think we're going to see him win there. Getting relegated, Longford and Fermanagh. I know Fermanagh were unlucky with a point that should have counted against Westmeath last year and all the rest and all the controversies. But I just think, you know, they've been harping along so long. RS, I just think they've struggled recently in RS, and I don't know if I can see them up there in RS, but I think Fermanagh people are gonna forgive me once we get onto the Ulster Championship. Just you wait and see. So, and in Division 4, I'm predicting London and Leitrim to go up. So yeah, London getting promoted. So there's another bold enough prediction, but I think, you know, just with enough. Andy Moran's a great coach for Leitrim and all the rest, and most of our players got promoted back in 2019 and in a particularly poor Division 4. And London, you know, I think, you know, they had a few ones last year and all the rest, and I think, you know, a second season and all the rest, they obviously had 2 seasons out, but I think they can really string if they can string up a few ones, I can definitely see them going up to Division 3.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some interesting predictions in there. Right, I mean, London going up is definitely a bold one. I think Antrim being promoted from Division 3. I mean, I think they might be the favourites to get relegated, but who knows? Maybe Andy McEntee will work his magic, says you.
Yeah. So yeah. So
What's
we'll go to
your
Connacht.
Yeah, work away, crack in.
No. Yeah. Connacht Championship. I have. So yeah, it's I told obviously the draw where I think Leitrim's getting the final, but I think Roscommon are beating Mayo there because I don't think Galway or Mayo care that much about the Connacht Championship because the new structure and stuff. It doesn't really have that much relevance, and I think Roscommon would appreciate winning at Connacht more if that kind of makes sense. But I do think and the rest. So I think them beat Galway and Mayo and beat Leitrim in the final. So as much as I would love to go with the bull shout of Leitrim winning Connacht, no, I can't see them getting there. But I don't know. They've chance to Queen Sam Guire. So yeah.
Yeah. What about the other provinces then? What are you going for there?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd imagine Dublin winning Leinster. I mean, we probably just get that one over. There's nothing really to mention there. I don't think.
I'll go off the other results one up to, but yeah, they're gonna win it there. But I'll give the other ones, because obviously because we took Dublin out, it's super competitive and super interesting. So Offaly beating Longford, Carlow beating Wicklow. I think Wexford are good enough to beat Laois. That's obviously a bullshit because they're, I don't, after that relegation to Division 4, I don't think they're really up to much. And then I think my bold shout is that Carlow's getting that third seed, and I don't think they're going to care about the Leinster Championship. And I think Carlow are going to beat them by a point. I think Carlow are beating Kildare. That's a weird one there, but I think, they obviously look 2018 is a big one there. So, yeah, I think there's a shock one there. As for Dublin Wexford, it's going to be a tight contest. Nah, it should be an easy enough one for Dublin. And Meath Offaly, I think Offaly, well, in this hypothetical situation I'm creating, they're off the back of winning Division 3 and all the rest. And I think, they're not so I think they will win it there because they'd appreciate getting to the Leinster final, even if they got hammered by Dublin more. So, and then Westmeath Louth, I'd give Westmeath the back in. Dublin would beat Carlow. Westmeath would beat Offaly. Dublin Westmeath final with Dublin coming out on top.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair enough. And it would be as someone who has family from Westmeath, I think it would be nice to see them get their day out in Croke Park. Munster Ulster. I mean, what's your thought process here?
Yeah, Tip Waterford. I think it's going to be a draw, and I think I'm going to think Waterford to go through in penalties. I think there's a shock brewing there. And Tip can be anything on their day. If it was, Tip always underperform against teams of their own, well, but below them. But then when it comes to the better teams, they give the performance of their lives. So it's their team there. So yeah, and Cork, I think Clare to beat Cork. It's 2 Division 2 teams, not a big shout. And then Clare to beat Limerick and beat the penalties last time. Kerry to beat Waterford, no shock. Kerry beating Clare in the final. So,
and we get on to the big province.
Yeah, this is the one you all want to see. That's where tests whether I'm biased, deluded, or anything. So the first one we have Armagh Antrim. So in this hypothetical situation, Antrim have got this Sam Guire. So I think Armagh are going to beat Antrim there, but probably regardless, they'd probably win anyways. Now it's the Fermanagh Derry shock, and well, by saying shock, I think you can guess which team I'm going for. I think Fermanagh are going to deliver it against Derry. I think I think they have a young team. Something they really held Tyrone there. I think they left Sung behind, and then Tyrone Monaghan. I think Tyrone are going to come through and all the rest. Monaghan, I think, are just content with just being a stable Division 1 team. And down Donegal, new managements for both teams, but I'm not going to be. Down didn't win a single game in league or championship last year, so even the McKenna Cup. So I would presume we'd beat Dun. I mean, even though it's in Uri. Cavan Armagh. I predict Armagh to get through. Fermanagh Tyrone, local derby, left sung behind. Fermanagh's getting to their first Ulster final in 5 years. Donegal Armagh, that's the big game. And Armagh need to get that monkey of never getting to an Ulster final since 2008 off their back. I think I'm gonna go with Armagh to win. I think that more fight there. I just can't see us turning it over quite quickly after we were well beaten. And then it's the repeat of the 2008 Ulster final. Fermanagh v Armagh. Will Fermanagh win their first? Will Armagh get their first since 2008? I think because most of Ulster are guaranteed their place in the Sam Maguire, I think it's going to open for one of the biggest shocks of all time. I think for the first time ever, we're going to see Fermanagh win an Ulster. I think their backs are up against the wall, and it's the coming of age, the 2018. You know, they've about 3 or 4 outstanding players, but other teams maybe have about 10. So that's just probably where missed out there. And I think, Wexford showed their class against Offaly last year by beating them. So I think them for the Talton Cup. So yeah, that's
there you go. There you go. Yeah. Like I think there's a party somewhere in Fermanagh anyway after hearing that news. Like I think it definitely would probably be the biggest provincial shock of all time. I'd love to see it happen personally. I think it'd be great for little Fermanagh to, as they call them, to go and actually win an Ulster title, their first in their history. I will be honest, I don't see that happening, to be honest.
I know.
But who knows? And
I know. I just want usually about these videos, I make about 10 outrageously bold predictions, and usually one of them come true, and then I pit myself as a genius. And it happens every year. I said the same about Derry beating Tyrone last year. I said the same about Cavan and Tipperary getting relegated. I said the same about Cork beating Kerry. It happens all the time. Like, and don't get me wrong, about 9 of them are going to be completely incorrect, but that's just what I'm saying. So I know there. But the only thing I do say though, if anyone, do not dare go to the bookies after listening to me. Don't any of you dare go anywhere near it after listening to my advice. Genuinely, like, don't lose your mortgage over it.
No, I think definitely keep your money in your pockets, as they say. Looking at the Donegal hurlers, maybe before we finish up. I mean, obviously, interesting year last year for them. I mean, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of a lot of that team's coming of age now. The team that there's very few left from the 2014 one team, and a lot of teams getting old enough and all the rest. But yeah, like, losing that quarter semi-final to Tyrone, see, you kind of looked at it quite disappointed. It was definitely a game you left behind, but then the week later, Damien Casey gave the performance of his life before, obviously. It was obviously a terrible news and all the rest. So you do actually, it was obviously a very subdued moment there, but I think, I think we just couldn't, us and Tyrone were just neck and neck. It was just between us two that was probably the real final. But if I had to go for, and it was obviously a tough one to mirror us. But we had good one over Warwickshire, RS who we regularly played in cup finals, RS, and we'd wins over Roscommon, as well, and Fermanagh and Armagh as well, who have clubs who compete with the Antrim and Derry teams. So definitely not. We definitely had some good ones and all the rest, but the Tyrone was the stumbling block. But it was a game you look back at now and you realize there's more important things in life. But still, that there and all the rest. But I think there's Nicky record there, and I think we'll manage to stay in Division 2B again. I think we're about the same level as most teams, but I don't think we're outrageously better than anybody.
Yeah, like and I suppose looking at the All Ireland hurling or looking at the bigger picture there, I mean, is there another wild prediction here, or are you staying on the same track as everyone else and going for Limerick?
Oh, I'm going really, really bold. I'm going to go Limerick to win the Liam McCarthy, Kilkenny for Leinster, Limerick for Munster, and Offaly for the Joe McDonagh. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. The hurling predictions, I think, are pretty hurt there, and I don't think other than maybe Laois beating Dublin, I don't think we've seen any championship upsets in the last 5. That's probably the only championship upset we've seen in the last 5 years, and there's been multiple in football there, so it's less likely that you're going to get an upset. But yeah, so all the rest. But I think Antrim are going to stay in. The Liam McCarthy and Westmeath are going to be sent back into the Joe McDonagh.
Interesting stuff. Yeah, well, I suppose before we do finish up, then your own podcast, GAA's own podcast. Obviously, you're on a vacation break at the moment, but like how's things going there? And I suppose what's the plan kind of going into 2023?
Yeah, 2023. The plan's just get more guests there. It worked out really, really well. Getting doing the live streams on Facebook and stuff. Now Facebook's where the biggest following is there. I could start fresh on YouTube, but I don't have a following there, so it makes more sense to get Facebook there. And then getting the one that got the most views was the one with Sambo McDucton, genuinely, and that was really good views there. So just if you want to follow up a podcast, follow us on Spotify for if you just want us to audioly, and then go to the Facebook page if you want to look at their own interviews and all the rest there. And yeah, so the plan is, obviously being a final year university student, it's not the most. I don't have as much free time as I would like, among other things, but still, I definitely hope to get stuck on there. And there's going to be a lot more inter-county games, obviously, in football this year, and it's probably going to be a summer calendar of the football, whatnot. So I hope to get that there. And last year I was able to bring GAA's on to Crow Park of the LGFA and Camogi's help. So maybe get back to North Dublin. So for match reports and stuff. So yeah, that's just what the plans for 2023 is. So definitely hope to get that going.
Brilliant stuff. Well, cheers, Patrick, for coming on. Much appreciated.
Right. Thank you. Right. Yeah.